I did say that twerking in my country is normal, like for every age. I haven't been there in years, but I talked to my friend. I had him on the phone and we talk about a lot of things, and turns out that things have gotten way worse there. Like even 7-year-olds are twerking and doing very things. Instead of people being mad at the movie, people should be mad at the fact that this is a thing that's happening. Hi there! For those who don't know me, which is mostly everyone, I am Mara and welcome to my channel. Hi! Today I'm gonna make a video that's different from the content that I usually make, or the content I'd like to make, but I feel as though I have to voice my opinion, so here we are. So I'm very new to this world of commentating on things. I'm probably not gonna sound very logical for most of the things, or smart as well. This is only and purely based on my view on things, my experience, and my interpretation of the movie. I think my interpretation and my experience, or my view towards the movie, is different from everyone who's literally mad at the movie, because I've experienced things very similar, if not the same thing, that is well, almost the same thing that is happening in the movie. I wrote a few notes, well, a lot of notes, because I don't want to forget anything, because I tend to forget a lot of things. I'd like to start by saying that I don't think the movie is for kids. And I am kind of mad that people are too focused on, oh my gosh, this movie is so bad, it's children, let's get it off the air. Instead of people being mad actually at what the movie is trying to say, what exactly it's trying to portray, which is real life events. So please pull your shit out of your ass and at least listen to the movie instead of being so quick to being mad at everything. But in this video, I will start by talking about my experience, the similarities the movie has with my experience and the things that happen on there. Then I'll move on to kind of getting people to understand her culture and see things through her views, like the girl, Amy, the protagonist. Then I'll move on to exactly the main reason of what made her rebel, what I think made her rebel, because I relate to her. After that, I'll talk about what people are saying, the questions people have, the concerns, and then I'll talk about the things that people need to realize, what I didn't like in the movie and what I wish had happened with this movie. Starting with the similar things that are portrayed in the movie and what I've experienced. I also forgot to mention that I'm also African, and in my country at least, part of the things that we were experiencing were, I'm sorry if there's noise in the background, it's pissing me off too. There's nothing I can do about it. I wouldn't say my culture, but in my country it became such a normal thing to twerk. Like no matter what age you were, like twerking was a trend. So just wanted to let you guys know that. I love to dance. From a young age, I danced my ass off, and my mom knew that, and she wanted to put me in groups, but not every group was willing to like take children, you know. And I did eventually enter a group, dancing groups, where it didn't involve sexualization or anything like that. But before I actually entered those groups, there's this thing called carnaval that we have in my country. And in my city, they were looking for girls, like 7-year-olds, stuff like that, that would participate in the carnaval. Like you had to audition to be part of the dance group in order to dance for the carnaval. And let's just say the dresses that the girls were wearing, the clothes that they were wearing, wasn't necessarily, my mother didn't think it was appropriate. So I didn't end up entering, or wasn't able to participate at all. But yeah, the only difference between Amy and I is that I wasn't able to participate and at the same time hide it from my mother. Like I didn't go that far because I was stopped by my mother, because mentally I feel like my mom did kind of control the way I thought. Like she put a lot of fear into me. And my mother used to work all the time, so she wasn't always the one around me, like from the adult and all those things. So just keep that in mind. I also want to talk about the age thing. Whenever the girl picks up the condom, that was, to me, it didn't really shock me, because that was something I actually saw happening once. And if I'm not wrong, I might have touched one too, or picked up one from the floor, and I got really scared because my friends were like, oh my gosh, that's why people wear it. And I thought I thought that I got just from touching it. So I was like, oh my gosh, no. Like I started freaking out, and I asked like my mom. I was like, wait, what gives you? And of course, that's a weird question that an 8-year-old would ask. Oh, by the way, I was about 8 years old around then, or 9. I would say though, I never stole money from my mother. That was something I was really scared of. Maybe I stole something from somewhere, but I wouldn't say it was stolen. Well, I guess it was stealing because I did take it without permission. But I saw like 5 cents somewhere and I took it near the TV because who knows. I don't think I even ended up using it because I was really good with money then. Now I'm just a mess. Weird enough, if you guys remember, there's a scene where her grandmother talks about being married at a very young age, like 11. My grandmother also got married at a very young age. I think she was 12 when she got married off. Yeah. And when the girls were watching things in the bathroom, like, and talking about, it was shocking to me to see it, but it's not like I didn't experience or I never saw girls at like 11 talk about it. Like when I was 11, actually, was it maybe 10, I actually was exposed to, and that wasn't like from adults, it was from a friend of mine who was the same age as me, actually a year older. So not every kid out there is necessarily innocent. There's a lot of things that I saw kids do whenever I was younger, like 7 years old, that I was like, this is weird, I don't like it. But I don't know, it just tells you a lot about their environment. Also, when her mom was really mad at her, I felt that. I really felt that whenever she was like, what are you doing, Amy, and all that stuff. My grandmother or mother would have probably been harsher on that, because I was like, that's nothing. Like, I would have gotten my ass beat. But that, see, like, realize that this is a cultural thing too. In America, this wouldn't be seen as normal, but in other countries, this is normal. And then I also want to say that, again, I experienced most of the things that she experienced, Amy. And one of the big differences also was that I didn't really have social media when I was a kid. I mean, I had a phone, but I wasn't allowed to use it. I just was allowed to use it to call my mother because she worked a lot, as I said before. I did say that twerking in my country is normal, like for every age. I haven't been there in years back, but I talked to my friend. I had him on the phone and we talk about a lot of things, and turns out that things have gotten way worse there. Like even 7-year-olds are twerking and doing very illegal things. So I know that it's a shock for everyone, but in other countries this is a real thing happening, and this is why I think people are mad at the wrong thing, because she's only portraying the reality. Now moving on to understanding her culture. Like I said before, I understand Amy. I was Amy once, but just not as, she did do a lot of things that I was like, this is a lot. I was an Amy once, that's all I'm gonna say. My family was also religious, and the thing you have to understand, at least in my country and in many African cultures, is that girls are kind of forced to grow up really fast. Like from a young age, you're taught to start cooking for the whole family, and I'm talking like about a family of like 10 or more, or just a lot of people, right? You're supposed to know how to cook really early in your young age. By 9 years old, I actually had friends who were 9 years old and cooking for their whole family and deep cleaning the house every other day. Like, and I'm talking about deep cleaning, like if there are Africans watching, you know what I'm talking about. But it's like even cleaning the floor the way you would do it, like sweeping and what is it called? When you have a wet rag and you, I forgot, but anyways, we would like literally take a wet rag and then you clean the floor with your hands or your feet, and it's like all over the house, and it's deep cleaning. I had friends like that who would do that, and because they were forced to do it by their family. It's like you're supposed to know how to do things early, like cook and clean up the house and go to the supermarket and buy things, take care of your siblings, because they were getting you ready. At least that's what I was told. Like that's what we were told as kids. Like they were getting you ready for marriage, basically. It's like a man, like every time you acted lazy or something, they'd be like, a man is not gonna tolerate this, he's not gonna marry you for this and that, and that's silly. Like they would say that to 9-year-old kids. Like who does that? Like now that I think of it, it's not normal, but because it's part of the culture that I grew up in, I didn't think it was that bad. And I was actually lucky because my mom wanted to take time with me because I was so young. Like, she wanted to take it step by step. She wouldn't even allow me to turn on the stove, and that was like a big thing for like our neighbors and everyone else. Every other adult that was around, or like kids, they were just like, wow, why would you do that? Like, you should know like how to do these things and blah blah blah. And they would shame me. They were like, oh my gosh, like, you don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do that. That's literally how it is. If you don't know how to cook by at least the time you're 9, it's like, what are you? You should be ashamed of yourself, because you're useless. Basically, you're useless. And what I saw, though I'm not really educated about a lot of countries in Africa, but in the cultures, I can see it's very similar to mine, even though our religions were different. Like, my religion, we were Christians in my family, but I did have like Muslim friends. Like, I was exposed to a lot of Muslim stuff. When you look at her culture, they're forcing her to grow up fast. They're forcing her to be a woman fast. Literally, her grandma wakes her up and she's like, oh yeah, come cook, let's cook for your father's wedding. And when she says that, she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make you a woman today, or you're gonna be a woman today. Like, who does that? She's literally 11 years old, and they're trying to make her a woman. Everything that they do is like, oh yeah, this is about you being a woman. I don't know if you guys realize that. If you noticed, it's always like, even when she got her first period, it's like, oh yeah, you're a woman now. Even her mother said it. And as soon as she chooses to be the woman that she sees or desires to be, she's suddenly treated as a bad kid, because she decided to be the kind of woman that she sees on the internet or sees everywhere. She chooses what kind of woman she wants to be. But as soon as she does that, she's bad. But she has to be the grown woman that they want her to be, not the grown woman that she sees on TV or wants to be, the kind of that's hypersexualized and everything. And she feels like she has no freedom because of the religious beliefs. There is no freedom for her to express herself. It's like, imagine being put in that place where like, they're forcing me to be a woman, but then I can't do what women are doing these days. I have to be the woman that they want me to be. Like, she doesn't even really spend time with people who are her age, because she's always busy taking care of her siblings, cooking. Although it's not really shown that much on the movie, but she does cook and she's cleaning and all those things. That's basically how it is for a lot of African children. At least it was whenever I was back there. And since it's gotten worse, I'm not sure like how it is now, but the hypersexualization has definitely gotten worse. I don't know if cleaning and all that stuff is still a thing, but I just wanted to let you guys know. And it's kind of weird too that her grandmother is like, at your age, I was married off and all that stuff. It's like, she's 11 again. Why would you say that to her? And that's just me criticizing that part of the African culture. But that's it. And when I say African, I mostly mean my country and other country where it happens. Let's just get that straight. And then I want to talk about what made her rebel. Taking into consideration what I just talked about, the religious part of it, how girls are expected to grow up fast and know what to do in order to basically please a man and make a man comfortable in his home whenever he marries her. But then she moves to France, where there's another culture, and not only that, where she's more exposed to social media, where other girls are doing other things, and she's just like, whoa, this is a lot happening. The way I see it, when she gets to France, she sees girls that literally choose what kind of woman they decide to be, not just what's imposed on them. And people also need to realize, when you're that age and you're in that situation, you don't realize how old you are, because you're treated like you're much older than you actually are. You're treated as if, again, you're this grown-ass woman and you're supposed to know how everything works. Suddenly, I used to think when I was 11 or 9, I used to think that I was like way older than I was. I don't think I really took into consideration that, hey, I'm 11, I'm a kid. I was just like, oh, this is what's happening. I'm being pressured to grow up fast, and I want to be able to choose who I become, and I want to be this empowered girl, woman who chooses to be whatever she wants to be. Because when you look at it too, Amy starts rebelling because she realizes how bad her mother is treated. Like, her mother is just supposed to take instructions and just live with it, but she realizes how miserable her mother is with other circumstances, and she's like, I don't want to live like that. Which is funny enough, what happened to me, I saw many women being treated that way, and I was like, this is not how I want to end up. and so I'm gonna own whatever I have, and I'm gonna be like sexy, and I'm gonna do whatever I want. But literally I was like 9, 11 or something years old, but I wasn't even a teenager yet, and I was just already thinking like that. And for her, it's like, oh my gosh, these girls get to choose whatever they want to be, so I like that. But then she rebels so hard, like she goes too far, because again of how she was treated at home, the religious side of it, the cultural side of it, how she was forced to be a woman so fast. All of that kind of bottled up and made her go further than all those girls were going. I think she didn't know her limit, or she didn't know what was too much, because this was a new world to her. She just went like way, like she was even the one who taught these girls how to sexualize themselves even more in the dancing. Because that's when I realized, I was like, I mean, at first I was like, why is she doing this? But then I understood, she didn't know how far she was going. It was a new world to her, and she liked it, and then she just kept going further and further and taking it further than she needed to, but she didn't know how to stop or when to stop. And that's when she had her breaking point, whenever she was like, holy f, what the f am I doing? This is bad, I've gone too far. And that was after she posted that selfie thing, picture thing, which this, okay. And not only that, at that age your body is changing so much, like your hormones are all over the place, you're growing boobs, and you have no control over it. Honestly, when I was growing up, I was like, I don't like this. Like, I liked being sassy and wearing my skirts and all that stuff, and short skirts. Keep in mind, my mom wasn't really around, but she hated the fact that I would wear those things, and she actually took away most of my clothes, but somehow I always found a way. Growing up, I didn't like the fact that my boobs were growing. Like, I liked being, you know, but I didn't like the fact that I was like, because like it was awkward to me, like everything was just weird that was happening. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't like this change that's happening. Like, I don't want to have periods, I just want to be the way I am. I like my body the way it is right now. And again, the hormones are happening, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm being told I'm a woman, and whoa, I'm feeling so many things at once. And again, I think that was also what played a part in what, like, in Amy going as far as she did, because also her hormones were all over the place. She's like, whoa, woman, new world, oh my gosh, there's so many things I can do, and she just takes it too far again. And everything that happens around her is what leads her to where she goes. The culture, all this new world of social media, these girls that actually embrace who they are even though they shouldn't because they're so young. All of that is a lot for her to take in or like break down at a time, and she just goes crazy with that. Like, and not like the oppression that she felt from cultural side of it, like what she felt at home is what eventually led her to go like, okay, no, this is not what I want, because she saw it in her mother, again, as I stated before. Now let's move on to what people are saying, because I did watch many videos of people saying things and I'm like, I agree with this, I disagree with that. And I also want to talk about what people are mad about in this segment, I guess, this part of the video. I've heard people say that there's no discussion. The way I see it, the director wanted to tell a story. This is just us watching an experience, but then it's for the viewer to see that, hey, this is bad, and she's just depicting everything. She's just showing you how it was, and it's for you to see for what it is, like for you to create the discussion. It's like for the public to create the discussion and say, hey, this is not right, this is, you know. I mean, partially I think she did discuss something, which is girls should just be kids. I mean, kids should be kids and not try to do too much, if that makes sense. I think her point was that the audience needs to create a discussion, and I'm just showing you the story of what's happening. This is the experience, and you should talk about the experience. That's how I see it. I don't know if that makes sense. People are also mad that this is a thing, because they're like, again, they're focusing more the philia thing. Oh my gosh, is that how you say it? They're like, oh my gosh, this was made for. I don't think it was, like I stated before. I think it's a video that's showing you, I mean, it's a movie that's showing you what's happening, and it's saying, hey, discuss this because this is not right. Although I'm not gonna deny that I would probably enjoy watching it, but that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is to say that this is not okay, and people are letting this happen, which shouldn't be happening. Like, people shouldn't let this happen, but people are still letting it happen. Like, please stop it. I think that should be the discussion that should be brought up. Instead of people being mad at the movie, people should be mad at the fact that this is a thing that's happening. You know what I mean? And I feel like it is up to the public to start the discussion, because I think the point of it was to be outrageous so that we see and we create a discussion in order to just stop these things from happening, or more, I guess. And people are also saying that, what if it was like 18-year-olds depicting, I mean, playing the girls, but like, what 18-year-old looks like 11? I mean, that's hard to find, but still, I don't think it would create the same outrage. I could be wrong in comparing these two things, but look at Pen 15. It's a TV show, right? And I understand it's not that or anything like that. I guess it, I don't know, but nobody's outraged at the fact, I mean, at how the series is, the TV show is, right? Because they know that these girls that are playing, I don't know, 11-year-olds or whatever, or teens, are actually grown-ass women who are in their 30s. Like, nobody's outraged at that. But imagine if it was like actual kids doing it, nobody would be outraged. Let's be honest. I don't think there would be the same outrage as there is now. And I feel like the outrage is good, right? It's good to be outraged. Like, that's what, I think that's what she wanted. Or maybe not, I don't know. But I think people are outraged at the wrong thing. Like, as someone who's experienced similar things, it's pissing me off that people are mad at the movie than they're mad, more than they're mad at what's happening. This movie needs to be seen so that people can see that, hey, this is not just, you know, it's something that's happening in real life. And instead of putting your energy into canceling the movie, put your energy into canceling the actual real life stuff that's happening, that the movie is depicting. I also saw a question of people saying, oh, what if the actresses regret it, right? To that, I don't really know what to say. Because it would suck if they regret playing this role. But also, it's for a good cause. But then, is that cause really worth their mental health? Like, if in the future they regret it and it does something to them, like create trauma or something. I don't know. I wish I had the answer. But I'm not gonna lie, I feel like what they did was a good thing. Which although sounds weird. But yeah, I hope it doesn't. But if it does, I really don't know what to say. I feel like I've been asking myself, like, is it hypocritical of me to say all these things that, hey, these girls are only replicating whatever they see on TV, I mean, whatever they see on social media? Is it bad for me to say, like, is it weird for me to say that? Like, does it make me a hypocrite? Because I also post pictures on the internet that are not necessarily, I'd say, I would want an 11-year-old to post, right? But also, I'm like, I think kids should be kids. And I think I had an answer for this, but whenever I remember, I'll come back to it. Also, this, like, my experience, like, the cultural things that I've experienced with, like, the African things and whatever, has led me to now being to a point where I'm scared of growing up. I'm realizing how, well, like, what age I am now, and I'm like, why did I try to grow up so fast? Why did no one stop me? Why did that happen? Like, I wish I could go back and just be a kid, because being a kid is nice. And now I'm just like, I'm an adult, but I have to grow up. I have to. But then I'm also acting more mature than I should. And I'm like, this is not healthy for me, because if I keep, like, since I keep on regretting it, I should probably act my age more. But be nice, but be smart about it, right? Not be, like, totally stupid. But again, be responsible and know what I'm doing. But again, also feels like adulthood, right? In America, people just expect you to know better. It's almost like when you turn 18, you suddenly know better. You're supposed to, like, have this wisdom that comes from the heavens and enters your body and be like, oh yeah, you're 18 now, here's the things you're supposed to know better. But nobody teaches you to know better. And that is why many people fail. That is why there's so many homeless teens and all that stuff, or like people who are in debt and all that those things, because people don't really teach you to be an adult here. They just expect you to be an adult as soon as you turn 18. Like, suddenly you're grown, you should know better, but like you didn't teach me. But then when you're literally 17, it's like, you're a kid, like enjoy being a kid and all that shit. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, anywho, now moving on to what people need to accept or realize. I'm gonna be very frank here and just straightforward, and I don't give a shit. People need to hear this. People need to realize that this is something that Maimuna Dukure, the director, this is something that she saw happening. It's not like something that she pulled out of her ass and she was like, oh yeah, let me make this for, like, that would be cool, right? No, again, this is something that happens in real life, and she was trying to say that, hey, this is what's happening. Again, this is what's happening, and I'm just showing it in the movies because some people, let's be honest, which is my next point, in America, people live in a bubble. That is something that I've noticed. And I'm only speaking from experience. People here live in a bubble. Like, there's so many things that Americans don't know that is happening outside of America, right? It's almost like America is the whole world, and that is all they know, which kind of sucks and creates for bad things that I have seen happen in many young people here and older people, right? Like, which includes the ignorance, but that's another conversation for another day. Again, yeah, Americans live in a bubble, and I don't think people realize that, hey, just because you don't experience these things doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And the point of the movie was to show you that these things exist, but you're still mad at the wrong thing. Like, stop, shut the fuck up, listen for once that this is something that's happening outside of the country, your country, and be outraged at the right thing. Again, instead of being outraged at this thing, this movie that depicts a reality, it is something that exists. I do understand that. I'll get into things later on, but stop being, what I've noticed in America is that people get mad just because they want to get mad, and just because the other person gets mad. I feel like a lot of people, especially people around my age, right, they don't have their own either personality or opinion about things. It's like most of the young people I've encountered, their personality and their like character or their actions fits into a category that is in that actually already exists in society, like the basic white girl or the Viesco girl or the Tumblr girl or the what is it called, that V, I think it starts with the V, the girls that like to wear black, fudge. And that is not to throw any shade, so don't come after me just because you're mad. You know, okay, it's actually hurting society, like young kids, because we're forcing that young kids, like young people, to like fit into a category instead of letting them think for themselves. It might actually eventually hurt our future because we're only gonna be thinking the same. You don't want people to think the same. Let people experience life, right? Learn to by themselves what they think is right, what they believe in, what they don't, instead of forcing them to believe in one thing or like one thing, or they're bad, they're racist, they're this, they're that, they're this, and blah blah blah. That's actually hurting people. Like, you're not gonna create new ideas. There's not gonna be much innovation if we just keep stopping people from thinking for themselves. Like, that's actually oppressive if you think about it. It's oppressive that people are not even able to think for something because they're scared for themselves, because they're scared that someone's gonna get offended, someone is gonna get mad, because that's how it is here. It's like, I'm offended, so you're wrong, you need to change that. I'm offended, I need to work on myself and understand why I'm offended. But then that's what people should say instead of, or think, instead of, you know, just getting mad and saying the other person is wrong. Because I've been that sensitive before, and I understood that it made other people miserable. So I decided to change myself, or work on myself better, in order to change that bad habit, because it made, again, it made people miserable. And that's what people need to understand in this society. It is toxic that we force people to think a certain way or like us just because of how it affects us, even though the way it affects us, it's something that actually could be changed. And that's not saying that some people don't say the wrong thing, but instead of educating these people that say the wrong thing or think the wrong way, we're too busy getting mad at them. Therefore, they don't understand, and they either get worse or they just give up. And honestly, that would make me depressed. So just saying, instead of attacking people, work on yourself. Oh my gosh. And I think it's kind of hypocritical though too that people are mad at this movie, because for a society who asks people to respect and take into consideration other people's experiences. It's quite hypocritical that people are mad at this thing, even though it's an experience that many girls have in the world, including this director. Like the things that are included in this movie is also something that she's experienced. And it's quite, like, again, it's quite hypocritical that in America they're like, respect people's experiences, tell your truth, honey. But then she's telling her truth, right? And people are now mad at it. It's like, oh no, you're doing this and this. And I understand you have the right to get mad, because yes, kids are sexualized, but I think it was, oh, this is gonna sound really wrong, but I don't think the movie was made to sexualize the children. It was made to tell the story, even though it was crude, but it showed the story for what it was, how bad it was, right? It didn't censor anything. It was just showing you, hey, this is bad and this is what's happening. And it was very realistic, and people are mad at that. But also, if it wasn't that realistic, people wouldn't realize how bad it is out there. Just saying. But I also don't want to be completely, I also don't want to completely dismiss what people have to say, of course. So whatever you have to say, just say in the comments. I want to answer every question people have. I want to hear everyone out, even people who are mad, right? And I also saw people be like, oh my god, you're talking about kids by kids. But again, I don't think that movie was necessarily made to kids. It was made to show how kids are. Their point wasn't like, oh, we're doing this to kids. The point was like, we're doing this to show people how kids are. Although it does, you know what I mean. Yeah, I do think it was necessary, but I also don't know how it would affect those girls. So yeah, I don't know if I'm being very logical. I'm new to this, like I said before, so you know. Again, correct me, like tell me what you think. I'm willing to hear everyone out. But I'm still mad at the people who are more focused on hating the movie than they're focused on, hey, this is a thing that's happening and we need to stop it, and pedophiles are taking advantage of this, and some people are still allowing kids to be sexualized like that. But and I'm not gonna lie, these are things like the outfits, like the outfit they went to dance with, aren't those things that you actually saw in the Ivy League dance company thing? Like I saw girls wearing the same thing. Like, just saying, in dance competitions, that's a normal thing to wear. So maybe you guys should also be outraged at the fact that your dance competitions are also being part of this. It also supports the fact that what the movie is saying is true, that these things are actually real. So still talking about the things that people need to realize, the director did say, Maimuna, she did say that she wanted to show what the right femininity word is. Like, it's not just about sexualizing. Like, you don't have to be sexualized in order to feel like a woman or to feel feminine, which is what the movie was depicting. Like, you don't have to be sexualized. You can be a woman and still just be whoever you want to be, which is what Amy does at the end of the movie. She chooses to be whomever she wants to be. She realizes that she doesn't have to be sexualized in order to feel like a woman or to feel free at all. But people are missing the point, right? And I don't know if most people even have watched it instead of being just outraged. Like, what? And I feel like just a lot of people are also jumping on a bandwagon. And I understand, again, it's not your experience, but doesn't mean that you shouldn't be open-minded to understanding what it is, even though it's very outrageous. At least try to understand where it's coming from, instead of being like, oh my gosh, this is bad, everyone is saying it's bad, let me jump on this bandwagon. And I'm not saying that's what everyone who's mad is like doing, because some people are just rightfully mad because they saw it and they didn't like it at all. Again, her point was, you don't have to sexualize yourself in order to be a woman or the right kind of woman. Just be you. You get to choose the path that you want to take. Like, you don't have to be like these girls on social media, right? You don't have to be like anyone else, but you get to choose who you decide to be. You don't have to be, again, sexualized in order to be a woman. Now moving on to the things I didn't like in the movie. I thought the scenes on the stairs was a lot. Like, a lot. I was disgusted by the bathroom picture thing, but I think I was mostly surprised by it because it's something that I've forgotten that I've experienced. I mean, not that I took a picture of myself. Okay, this is too much. This is too much. This is way too much. I'm sorry. You have no idea how many things that kids do that it's like because they've seen it from someone else and they repeat it. Like, they do it in an innocent way, but they don't always do innocent things. That's what I mean. I thought the shaking part, whenever her mom was throwing her the things and she was shaking, and they were showing her butt, I didn't think that was necessary. I was like extremely uncomfortable, and I was like, oh my gosh, please, oh my gosh, why is this a thing? What else? Yeah, but then when I think about it, it's not my story, right? It's something, the movie, again, it depicts the raw version of the story. Like, it didn't censor anything. Well, it did kind of censor some parts. Like, there's some things that they didn't show, which I'm really glad it didn't. But yeah, it felt like too much. A lot of it, I mean, some things, at least to me, felt like too much. Like, you didn't have to do this. Again, like the shaking part, like the stairs part where they dance. But then again, it's not my story, so I don't really get to say how it should be told. It's, again, the movie is a raw way that they show the reality of some of these girls, or of what some people have experienced, right? And I don't have a say on how they get to depict it. They want us to feel something, and they felt like they needed to tell us exactly the way how it happened to make us feel something, and to tell us, hey, this is wrong. That's at least how I think of it is. But yeah, I can't really get necessarily too mad at it. So yeah, again, it's their story to tell, not mine, and they get to choose how they say it, and I just need to respect it. Now what I wish she had done, I wish she had shown in which countries these things happen. And I know that she doesn't necessarily know like everything that happens in every country, but it would have been nice, like, at least to the best of her knowledge, to show like, hey, these are the parts of where it's happening. But it also could mean it's just happening all over the world, and people need to be open to it. Like, I mean, not open to it, but like realize, be exposed to it in order to realize, hey, this is happening and this is bad. But yeah, did he also, what I didn't understand is, like, did he marry the other woman and leave her mother behind? Or was she just gonna be the second wife? I heard that she said, oh, he got a second wife, and she was hurt by it. Which, honestly, I was like, why is she surprised by it, right? Because I see it as something normal, but that is also the way I grew up, what I saw growing up. But then, anywho, again, to each their experience. Now going back to the thing about me being a hypocrite, like, am I a hypocrite because I do post things on social media that I wouldn't want a 19-year, I mean, oh my gosh, an 11-year-old to post? I don't think I am. I think I post because I post the things that I like to post because I just like it. Because I like to embrace who I am. But then I didn't do it before I knew it was the right time. Like, I didn't do it until I turned 18, right? And I was like, oh yeah, this is actually the okay time. And I think not many kids know the boundaries. Like I said, I don't really meet many, like, I can count on one hand how many people my age who actually think logically and not just try to sound like everyone else. And not to say that it's their fault. It really isn't. It's the society that is the problem. Like, the fact that these people don't, like, other young people don't really think for themselves a lot. But I was smart enough to know, hey, this is wrong, or like, this is the time for me to do this and this is not. Because I also didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable. Like, there's pictures that I have that I don't post because I'm like, I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. That is still something, it's not about me mostly, I guess. Like, it's not just about me, it's also about what people get to see on my page, right? But I also want to be able to express myself without feeling like I have to do it for other people. I have to do certain things for other people, if that makes sense. Anywho, thank you for watching. Keep watching if you want, or subscribe for my other videos. And keep in mind, I don't mean to dismiss anyone else's feelings towards it, but I feel like certain things needed to be said. Like, the fact that I'm pissed that a lot of people are just mad because they're mad, or mad because they're not thinking before talking, or whatever. That being said, I don't think that some people are mad for no reason, you know. Thank you for watching. I am Mara, and it was nice talking to you if you've watched this far. Again, this was just part of my experience. I was able to relate to the protagonist, so I decided to talk about it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you in my next video. Ta-ta!
Musabe barala ila karakano kananyina amanke la joti manqué la gente.
Can I do love?